How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. We're going to do yet another inventory tutorial for VEX parts, where today we're going to discuss how we can attach pieces of VEX structure to each other. We can do this to make chassis, arms, lifts, claws, whatever we gotta do. Most of the time, VEX always involves using structure. And a great way that we can use Inventor is attaching this structure to itself. I've got right in here a piece of 2x2 angle and a piece of 1x3 C channel. The C channel is grounded. Let's say that's the first part of my chassis there. So whenever I put in that first part, I'll ground it right there. And that allows me to attach things to it without moving everything around, and it allows things to not get super wonky. So this process goes as follows. We're going to use 3 constraints. Pretty much the rule of thumb in Inventor is 3 constraints. We're going to add a mate to get this bottom to that top, and we're going to add 2 flushes to line up these holes. When I have my students go through this, I always tell them, don't bother with adding the nuts and bolts. It bloats up your assembly, you can make it run slower, and you line up everything the right way anyways, and you don't have a big deal. So I always just tell them just to use a square to line everything up. Let's jump on in. Let's get that first constraint down. Let's take this piece of right angle and that piece of C channel and get them to fit on top of each other. To do that, I'm going to open up my constraint panel and apply a mate constraint to the top of this face. Notice how I select the whole face. Not a line, not an arc, but the whole face. Grab the face. I'm going to change my view so I can see the bottom of this. And I'm going to apply that same mate constraint right there. Hit apply. I'm going to close that for now. Change my view so I can see up top here. And you can see that these two are attached on the same plane. Right? This is not lifting up or down. You can still slide in that direction, but that's okay. Next, what I'll do is I'm going to line these up kind of where I want it. And this is more of a speed of workflow kind of thing. Whenever possible, I try to do as much without having to move my view cube as possible, which really speeds up the task. So if you have a mate constraint done, let's stick the 2 flush constraints on. Open up my constraint window here to place a constraint. I'm gonna change it to a flush constraint, and I'm going to make this edge and that edge flush, and then this edge and this edge flush. Now you'll watch what happens. It kind of kicks it back in line. It makes those 2 faces coplanar. Great. Now I've done 3 constraints, and look, it's not going anywhere. That's what we want. Because this is grounded and this is fully constrained, we are good to go. So you can stick more pieces on this chassis, stick everything on there, get your structure set up first, and then you'll be good to go. Well, that was one kind of flat. What happens if I want to do one vertically? Well, it's the exact same process. I'll show you here. I've got a piece of plate. I've got a piece of C channel. Let's constrain this so it fits vertically like that. To start off with, as always, we're going to do 3 constraints. In this version, we're going to do a mate and then 2 flushes. First, we're going to mate, let's say, this side to that side. And notice how it flips it around. Just A-OK. Now these two, these are coplanar here. Right, so this can go up and down, but it cannot go side to side. That's what we want. I'm going to get it in place here. Kind of where I want it. Let's say I want it up on the second row. I'm going to find a view where I can see both of these sides to add my flush constraints. Open up my constraint window here. Place a flush constraint. Click flush. U and U are flush. And make U and U flush. Now you can see with those 3 constraints, we are good to go. By and large, whenever you're connecting 2 pieces of metal that are either at 90-degree angles or are on the same line with each other, you're going to use this mate flush sort of constraint thing. So this happens all the time. Using the structure is incredibly important, and making sure things are fully constrained is also important. So this is a good skill to have. If you have any questions, as always, let me know and I will help you out.